Alpe du Zwift under an hour is probably the most popular cycling achievement among the Zwift community. So much so that every single day you can see many people celebrating their success in the Zwift subreddit. And the good news is that with the right mindset and the right approach, almost everyone can do it. In this video, I will tell you everything you need to know to beat this challenge. First, we need to take a look at what does it actually take to climb Alpe in an hour. Generally speaking, you need to maintain an average power of about 3.2 watts per kilo. It may vary a little bit with what bike setup are you using, if you are able to draft during your climb or if you are steering, but it is a number you should set as your initial target and try to maintain it as consistently as possible. Now, since this is an hour-long effort, it means that most riders will need to maintain a power output that is slightly below their FTP. So if this achievement is your goal, your aim should be to increase your FTP to somewhere between 3.3 watts per kilo to 3.5 watts per kilo, and the training should reflect that. The good news is, that's actually pretty simple. Riding below your FTP, even if just slightly, is mostly an aerobic effort. There's not a huge contribution of anaerobic systems, which means that the most straightforward way to train for this is simply train to improve your FTP. And for the vast majority of riders, and probably most of those aiming for this achievement, that means simply riding more, increasing your mileage. You should comfortably get there by doing more and longer zone 2 rides, but if you really want to maximize your chances, it is a good idea to do some intervals around your FTP. It can be 3 times 10 minutes near your FTP, 2 times 15 minutes, or even a single interval of 20 minutes. Firstly, it will speed up the process, but it will also dial in your feeling for the effort. So that was the training, the hard part. But when you are aiming for a goal where a difference of literally 1 second can be the difference between success or failure, you need to optimize as many variables as you can. And the choice of bike and wheels can honestly save you more than just few seconds. For example, if you are using the Tron bike on Alpe du Zwift, which is a reasonably common choice of a bike, you are going to be about 55 seconds slower than if you were using the best setup available. You can always find the most up-to-date information about the best bikes and wheels on a website called Zwifter Bikes. I will link it in the description below. But for your convenience, here are the best choices as of now, in February 2025. The best 3 bikes are Specialized Athos, Cannondale Evo and Canyon Ultimate. For wheels, the best ones are by far the lightweight Mellichsteins, but if you do not have those, the best 3 sets of wheels are Roval Alpinist CLX, Cadence 36 and DT Swiss ARC 1100 die-cut. The next piece of the optimization puzzle is trainer difficulty, and if you are really serious about this challenge, you should put it all the way down to 0. It won't make the climb easier, you will still need to output set 3.2 watts per kilo on average, but you will be able to do that as consistently as possible. In pretty much all of the corners on this route there is a sharp gradient change. It can go from 10% gradient to almost 20% really quickly. And if you are going to be climbing with 100% trainer difficulty, those gradient changes will really disrupt your rhythm. You will have to change gear several times and it will only make you more tired. By the way, I have made a video on trainer difficulty, so if you are interested on how does it work, I will leave a link to that video at the end. There might be some people who will tell you this is cheating, but hey, you are not doing the real climb. You are doing an in-game challenge, and part of that game is the trainer difficulty settings, which is available for everyone, so don't worry about that. Speaking of consistent effort, another thing I would really recommend you here is to maintain a fairly consistent and high cadence. It might be tempting to do the out-of-the-saddle low cadence climbing, and you might even argue you are more efficient doing that. And you know what? You might be right. In fact, I myself am more efficient doing that. But you need to realize that this is 1 hour of pretty hard effort, and riding with low cadence will tire your legs way faster. so even if you feel better in the first half of the climb, you might actually pay for that in the end. Doing high cadence, and we are talking somewhere in the range of 80 to 90 RPM, will stress your aerobic system a little more, but your legs will be able to sustain the required effort until the end. This next tip might be almost as controversial as reducing trainer difficulty, but since we are trying to optimize our way to the victory, we have to mention that. If you have an access to a steering device, which is most likely going to be either Zwift Play or Zwift Ride, you can substantially decrease your distance you will need to ride to the top by cutting around the corners. If you don't steer, your avatar will take the standard route, which usually is somewhere in the middle of the road, and you will need to ride the full distance. Once again, some people will view this as cheating, but it is really no different to choosing an optimal route when doing the real climb. It is solely up to you whether you want to use this for your attempt. My opinion is that since steering is a part of the game, it is perfectly fine to use it. As I've said previously, you are going to be doing high effort riding for about an hour, and that is not something you want to do just with water. So my suggestion would be take 2 energy gels. The first one about 5 minutes before the start of the climb, and the other one at 30-minute mark, which, if you are doing things correctly, should be approximately a halfway point. Also, don't forget to hydrate, both before the ride and during as well, and it is always better to drink smaller portions often, rather than drinking half of the bottle every 20 minutes, because your body will be able to absorb the water way more efficiently and it won't upset your stomach. This is probably something you've heard many times before, but with efforts like this, it is extremely important to have a proper warm-up. And it is not just for the injury prevention, although that's a big part of it, but warming up your muscles also ensures they will be functioning at the top of their potential. And when we are talking about proper warm-up, we are not talking simply about easy riding. I have a 15-minute warm-up routine that I use before racing, and I will put that on the screen right now, and I can tell you I actually really feel the difference it makes in races, especially when I'm lazy enough to not do it. Now, here's the thing. Doing an effort like this is hard. Not only physically, but especially mentally, and you can trust me, you will be super tempted to quit many times during your attempt. And that is perfectly normal. In fact, I have that feeling about 20 times during each race. The key is try to not fight it. It's not really possible anyway, and it will only make you focus on your misery more. Try to simply acknowledge that it sucks, that it is something you are expecting and prepared for. What also helps is to split the effort into bite-sized pieces. When you are already hurting and you are only at the halfway point, it is quite easy to get consumed by that feeling. But try to instead focus on getting to the next turn. Don't focus how many you have left, just give it your all to get to the next hairpin. If you use those tips, you should be able to do the climb under 1 hour. Some of you sooner, some of you later, but you should be able to do it, and I have complete faith in you. If you found this video helpful, guys, like it, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.